Hi everybody, Neil Kravitz here. I hope you're enjoying these daily clinical pearls. This clinical pearl comes from a question that I received from my great friend Dovi Prero up in Beverly Hills, California. And the question is, if we're using metal turbos for bite opening and the patient's overjet is so severe, what do you do when those lower incisors miss the metal turbos? So this is a common question that I receive. What do you do on patients who have deep bites but severe overjet? Now, that in itself sounds like a surgical case, but I have a few pearls that may help because this is a common question. So I prefer metal turbos for brachycephalic bites because I think the metal turbo is much better at deprogramming those closing muscles of mastication. If you put lower resin turbos on those first molars, that strong occlusion will cause those lower molars to intrude. You really need to deprogram the bite and open it up in the anterior region to allow for posterior dental extrusion and bite opening. All right, so if the overjet's so severe those lower incisors miss those turbos, what do we do? Well, one, you can simply address the overjet. You can do upper 4 extractions, or you can use a type 2 Herbst that has lower 4 crowns or bands that in itself prop open the bite. Those work very well. You also can do kind of a hybrid technique where you can add a little resin to the metal turbo to add to its length, and that will buy you a little bit of time as you correct the class 2 with class 2 elastics or whatever mechanics you're using. Then those lower incisors can begin to bite on the metal turbo. So bond the metal turbos and then add a little resin or composite to extend the length of it. Now, many people just simply use composite turbos because they will allow for a longer length turbo. That works fine. You can also just simply use an anterior bite plate. If you do use an anterior bite plate, reduce some of the acrylic in the anterior region before you bond it, because that will allow you to retract those maxillary incisors. So in summary, what I like to do is bond the metal turbos, but add a little bit of resin to add to the length to help those lower incisors bite on something, and then hopefully bite on the metal once I reduce the overjet. But try the type 2 Herbst or the upper 4 extractions or an anterior bite plate with some of that anterior acrylic reduced. I hope you enjoyed this pearl. Thank you guys so much for subscribing to this channel. Keep the questions coming. Thank you for supporting the JCO.